filter, and today I'm going to be demoing how to do the build a filter station. So a couple of things that we want to include are a waste bucket so that students can dump out their samples once they're finished. And then we want to have at least 2 types of pollutants. There's a variety of things you can include, but you need to have one chemical and one physical. So here in this bucket we have some sand, which is our physical pollutant. And then we've also added soap, or you could add dye to be your chemical pollutant. Okay, so next we have our materials that will be set up for your students when they arrive to their station. We have our filter frame right here, our polluted water sample, and then we have a couple of things students can use to create their filter. We have rubber bands in case they would like to attach something to the outside of their filter. Students will do it in different ways. We also have cotton balls, gravel, and sand that they can use to build their filters as well. So once your students get to the station, you're going to break them up into small groups and make sure each group has their own filter. Then we're going to ask a couple of questions just to get their brains thinking about the activity. So we can ask, what are pollutants? How do they get into our water? How can we get them out of our water? And who is responsible for filtering pollutants out of our water? Now it's time for your students to build their filters. And during this process, just make sure you budget your time so that students are able to build their first initial filter and run their water sample through. And then they can build a second filter with changes and test it out again. We also want to have enough time to have a wrap-up discussions. You can ask students things like, what worked well? What didn't work well? Were there any pollutants that you weren't able to filter out? And why do you think that was? So now that we're all done with our station, we're going to wrap up. Ask your students a couple of questions about how we can filter out pollutants on a community-wide scale, and get them to think about how time-consuming and costly it can be to do this, and have a conversation about how it's better to focus on keeping pollutants from entering our waterways in the first place. And now that you're done, don't forget to clean up. You want to have 2 buckets, one for your dry waste and one for the water.